Are we too grown to play around, young enough to chase?
Everywhere I'm turning, nothing seems complete. I stand up and I'm searching for the better part of me. I hang my head from sorrow, state of humanity. I wear it on my shoulders. Gotta find the strength in me, 'cause I am a superwoman. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Even when I'm a mess, I still put on a vest with an S on my chest. Oh, yes, I'm a superwoman. Yes, I am. Said I'm a superwoman. Yes, I am.
Man, this girl can sing. I wish I could sing like that. She's beautiful on the inside and out. Look at her body. I wish I was that skinny. So a few months back, I came across Janey B. World's Instagram story, all the way from Canada, and the first thing I did was have these thoughts in my head, and a lot of them being jealous thoughts. And what I chose to do with those thoughts is a whole different story. So we all have jealousy. It's something that is innate. It's innate human nature for all of us to have these jealous thoughts. And immediately when these thoughts come up, a lot of times we feel a lot of shame around them. And the reason that we feel shame around them is because typically we take these jealous thoughts and then they become a negative action. But we can choose to act in a positive way from these jealous thoughts that we have, moving forward, shifting what happens afterward. So when we have this negative action afterwards, typically the negative action is going to be one of maybe bullying or just vindictive, harmful behavior that not only hurts the other person, but it also hurts you. Jealousy works in the opposite way of how we want it to. So that's on the Lululemon manifesto. And ever since I heard that quote, now when I recognize these jealous thoughts coming up, that quote comes to mind. Jealousy works in the opposite way of how you want it to. And then that helps me shift into a positive mindset of how to move forward from that point. So what does that really mean, I guess, in how jealousy works in the opposite way of you want it to? One example would be something that we all do, and that is in this scarcity mindset, right? So negative scarcity mindset. This person has something I want, I don't have. So the example is you see someone, we do this all the time, right? You see someone on social media or in person, and you say, wow, that person has an amazing body. And when you think that, often the next thought that you're gonna have is, I wish that I had that body, or I don't have that body. I'm not as skinny as that person, and I'm not as pretty, so I am ugly, I'm fat, I don't have a good physique. And thoughts become action. So when you think these things about yourself, you're starting to own that behavior about yourself, or you're thinking those things, then those thoughts become your action. So if you think I'm ugly, I'm fat, then the actions that you have after that are going to be thus manifesting what you thought, and then becoming actually true, even if they weren't true before, right? So that's working in the opposite way of how you would want it to. Right? The second example that I have is, say you're on a team. So maybe it's at work, or you're playing on a team, and there's a person who gets a leadership role that you don't get. And that leadership role, you think that person, they didn't deserve that. Like, that should have been me, right? And when you think that, oftentimes the negative outcome of that jealous thought would be, I'm then going to talk about how that person didn't deserve that, and I did. But when that happens, you're not taking away from them, which is what you think is going to happen, that people are then going to think, oh yeah, you're right, and you should have had it, is you're taking away from you. Because then people see that vindictive behavior. And then they say, well, you're not a leader if you're going to act like that, So then that's working in the opposite way of how you want it to. You're not then becoming that thing that you wish upon yourself. So it's ingrained in us. Like I said, it's an innate human emotion to have jealousy. And we're born with it. It's a primal instinct to compete with each other. It's ingrained in us in business to compete with each other all the time. Like we learn it in business school. You hear it constantly. That's a scarcity mindset, right? So for 7 years, I've owned the studio here. And for the first 6 years, maybe 7, because we're coming on 8. Let's say the first 7 years, I had a mindset in the 4 walls of the studio, right? I pretty much stayed here. There were a few things, Young Elites here and there, that I did outside of the studio, but nothing that was really direct competition with anybody else. And it wasn't until a year ago that I had someone come to me and say, hey, I want you to lead a class with me in the city, right? And I need your help. I need you to lead a class. We need an instructor. And my gut reaction was, that's really far from my studio. Like there is nobody down in Charlotte who's going to drive all the way up here to go. So really this isn't going to serve me in any way to go down to Charlotte and lead a class. This isn't going to strengthen my brand in any way. But what I did, he also said that it's collaboration, not competition, and was ironically leading this charge of not competing with each other and all of these entrepreneurs and business people who are collaborating together. So I said, okay, I'm going to help out a friend, and I'm going to go down and I'm going to lead this class down in the city. And immediately when I went down there, doors opened and relationships were formed, and all of these people were people who were like-minded, who were going through a lot of the same things that I was going through, and we were able to talk and work out and strengthen in each other. And it also provided a lot of the missing puzzle pieces to things that I might need, right? So say it's like graphic design or photography or whatnot. Then all of these pieces, all of us doing all of these different things, formed together and shaped into this great kind of work of art of collaboration. And each person provided something different, right? And even if there were people who were in direct competition with me, I then shifted the mindset of, okay, if they're doing something that I think is really dope, or even if I haven't met them in person, I'm on Instagram and I'm like, man, like that person has that many followers, or that person does this form of yoga that I've never even seen, and that looks like awesome. Then instead of just feeling that behavior and shutting down, I then said, okay, I'm going to put a spotlight on them. And I'm going to use my brand and help leverage them too. Because the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right? And so if we are all doing this together and all collaborating together, then we are all rising together. And from that point on, things just magnified and shifted and beyond ways that I could have even like imagined in my mind, just manifested and took form. So not only just in competing in a business realm, there is also on a personal level, right? So all of these people that you might just see on Instagram as like, oh, that's a cool person, or people that you're around, maybe strangers that you don't know, or maybe your friends, people that you do know, taking those jealous thoughts and then shifting and thinking, okay, that jealous thought probably is a compliment, right? So I'm thinking that girl has a good physique, or that girl can sing, or that's a great outfit. You know, those are things that it's like, I wish that I had, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to make it a positive. And I'm going to either tell that person, I'm going to wish that person well, or I'm going to find a way to collaborate because maybe I can learn something from this and it can help strengthen me too. So I then started shifting a lot of patterns of that behavior, and that's the way that jealous feeling that we have, that innate nature, then is not shameful anymore. Because it's gonna happen, but now it's no longer shameful. You choose to react positively, act positively out of those thoughts. And one place that now all of us always go, and a lot of this happens, is on social media, right? Like a lot of times these jealous thoughts come from looking on Instagram, looking on Facebook or Pinterest or whatever it is, and seeing these things that are really highlights. It's a 10-second highlight of someone's 24-hour day, right? So this is putting my best face forward. This is putting a filter, literally, on what I look like and who I am. And it can bring people down. And actually, Huffington Post says that 60% of people say that they have more negative thoughts about themselves because of social media. But it doesn't have to be that way, right? So you can shift into that positive even through social media. So several months ago, when I came across Janey B World on Instagram, I chose to react with those jealous thoughts of, man, I wish I could sing, or I wish I were as skinny as her. I chose to react like this. Yes, girl.
Thanks, Bella. Just moved into a new place with no furniture, and I am trying to capitalize on this natural vocal echo. Nerd face.
Naturally.
100. You slay, girl.
It's the only way to live. You're really doing your thing too. Hashtag girl boss.
Thanks, girl. Means a lot. I really hope we get to cross paths one day.
That's my side of our story.
I am a soup. Oh, wow, that is my face, and those are my wrinkles. Delete. Let's try this. I am a soup, and just now I have a double chin. Delete. I am a super. Who do I think I am? Christina Aguilera? Delete. I can't look too confident. I am a superwoman. Okay, that's at least my voice sounds good. Filter, filter, filter. Hashtag. First try, post. So, that's what the behind the scenes looks like a little bit when I'm struggling with self-love. I'm going to preface this by saying that I've been performing for 21 years, ever since I was 10 years old. You do the math. And I used to get bullied a little bit when I was younger for all the attention that I used to get as a child performer. I had gum stuck in my hair, I had things written about me on bathroom stalls, sexual harassment, threats, and those things really sucked. But out of all of those things, the thing that I remember the most and that cut the deepest was when a girl came up to me, who was supposed to be my friend, and said, Janey, nobody wants to be your friend because you're like a disease and we don't want to get infected. Pretty harsh, right? WTF. Not really sure where that one came from, but all I know is that it hurt, and it hurt really bad. And what I didn't know at the time was that this was a different form of bullying. This wasn't the form where you get stuffed in a locker or beat up or like your head stuffed down the toilet. This is a form where you're meant or made to feel invisible, where you're made to feel unheard and unseen and abandoned. And I found it real hard to fit in after that one. I found it hard to be myself around people while still doing what I loved. And so my reaction to this, in hopes to feel less alone, was to basically just dim my light. It was to make sure I never shined too bright around people when I didn't have the protection of the stage barrier. And then I was always just caught in this place between like being afraid that I was going to show my real power and then never feeling powerful enough. And unfortunately, this holding back of speaking and singing and living my truth led to ultimately a downward spiral of self-destructive behavior, depression, and anxiety. And there was a lot of things that contributed to that. It wasn't just the bullying, it wasn't just her comment, but regardless of how fleeting that moment may have seemed to her or to anybody else hearing it, those words were a piece of my hurt, and they haunted me for a really long time. If a fairy godmother, right, came down from the sky and stopped time and said to this girl, "Hey, Sally, before you're about to say what you're going to say to Janey, I want you to understand that she's going to remember it for the rest of her life." Do you think she would have said it? I think not. I don't believe that she intended for me to absorb those words as deeply and for as long as I did. I think she was having an emotional, fearful, jealous reaction, and she just wanted to blow off steam. But that's the problem, is a momentary reaction for us could last a lifetime for someone else. So it's imperative that we all do a better job at learning to manage our emotional reactions and be aware of them at the very least. There was no real defining moment of when I crawled my way out of that spiral. It was a lot of years of yoga and meditation and therapy and a really strong support network. But when I came out of that hole, I realized two things. One, it hurt me far more to dim my light than it did to be rejected for shining as bright as I could and speaking and living and singing my truth. The second thing that I realized was that this girl was dead wrong about me being a disease, but she was right about me being contagious. You see, what she was picking up on was that when I let my light beam out, I had the ability to attract and affect people. It just so happened, though, that she was affected in a negative way because she thought that my light was going to take away from her light somehow. But think about it. If the flame of one candle lights the wick of another, do you think that the flame of that first candle is diminished in any way? Is there any less fire to go around? No, now you have two candles lighting up the room. We all have this light in us, all of us. And if we can be as courageous at standing in our brilliance as we are at standing in our flaws, then we have the ability to pull those flames into our life so we can shine brighter together. And that is why I'm here today, all the way from Toronto, Ontario, standing beside this beautiful, strong, powerful woman. Because her and I made it our mission to shine as bright as we could in hopes that it would light the way for others to do the same. And by letting our flames individually light up the sky, we found our way into each other's lives. And that is my side of our story. So, here's the thing though. You're not gonna like this next part. You can manage your jealousy. You can build up your self-love, but haters are gonna hate. And what I mean by that is when you truly decide to be a leader and you put yourself in the spotlight and you expose yourself, people are going to be jealous and you can't do anything about it. So you have to control your own reaction. So today I'm going to take you through a little exercise that's really helpful for cultivating positive emotion towards people you're having trouble with. And it's called the trifecta. It's a tool right out of the Performance Mindset program. And it consists of 3 actionable A's that are imperative for any change in your life. Okay? I'm just going to explain before we do the exercise. The first A is awareness. It's impossible to change what you can't see. So you need to have awareness of the thing that you want to change or the negative emotion. The second thing, and a lot of coaches miss this, is acceptance. You can be aware of something and then fully deny that you're feeling it and pretend it's not there, and that doesn't give you a platform to move forward. So you need to be aware of what you're feeling or what you're noticing and what it is you want to change, and then you just need to accept exactly where you are right here and right now. And then, once you've been aware and you've accepted whatever it is you're aware of, then and only then do you have the ability to adjust it. So we're going to practice this together. I want you to close your eyes. Just try to relax. It's very, very simple what we're about to do. So I want you to bring to mind someone who the moment you think of them, it just makes you feel happy. Try to pick a relationship that's not super complicated, like even if it's a dog or a baby or a friend. Somebody that you're not in conflict with, like just you think of them and they fill your heart with joy. And I want you to sense what's going on in your 3 different states called the PEM state. Your physical state. What physical sensations are you feeling in your body when you bring this person to mind? Just feel it with all your heart. Let it wash over you. What emotional sensations are you feeling? So just take note of the emotions and see if the emotions connect to the physical. I mean, sometimes when you feel really happy about thinking about someone, your chest feels warm and open, for example. And then what are the thoughts going through your head right now? So feel these feelings, accept them, right? You're aware of the feelings, you're accepting them and embracing them with all of your heart, taking them in, letting it wash over your body. And then I want you to adjust your mindset a little bit here and imagine you're now speaking to this person in your mind's eye. What would the words be that you would say to them? Just see if you can hear it in your head. What would you say to them? Okay, so just let that feeling resonate for a second. And we're going to go back to the beginning. I want you to bring to your mind's eye now someone that you're having difficulty with. Maybe it's somebody you're in conflict with. Maybe it's somebody that you're just feeling tension from. Probably not feeling so hot right now. Notice your physical body. Notice the changes there, if there's tension or contraction. Notice your emotions. Just bringing awareness to these things, not looking for anything to pretend that's there, just whatever's there, just be aware of it, just observe it. And then lastly, what are the thoughts going through your head? Now, accept that the thoughts going through your head and the emotions that you feel and the physical sensations in your body are part of being human. This does not make you a bad person. These feelings are allowed to be there because they're there to show you something. When you're shown, you have the power to change. So accept that you're feeling these feelings. Just allow them to be there, sit with them. And we're going to adjust. I want you to try to attempt now to bring the same positive sensation that you just recalled in your body and in your mind and in your emotions with the person that you have a good relationship with. Recall those feelings, physical and mental and emotional. And I want you to try your best to send them to that person you're having difficulty with. See if you are able to unconditionally, doesn't mean you're going to get anything in return, unconditionally, benevolently send that positive emotion and well wishes to that person you're having difficulty with. If you can, try to say the words that you said to the other person. Something more positive. What could you say to them? It's difficult, but just try. Try your best, even if it's one little positive feeling, 1%. I want you to understand that if you are able to do this, if you are able to send these positive emotions and feelings towards these people, it doesn't take away from you at all. Loving someone else unconditionally does not take away from you in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not talking about necessarily telling them to their face. I'm talking about cultivating that emotion inside of you, for you. Forgiveness is about you, not them. To close this off, you can keep your eyes closed. I'm going to read you a quote. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of the universe. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. You were born to manifest the glory of the universe within you. And it's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Marianne Williamson, you can open your eyes. Thank you.